size. Yeah.
And is it, you say you're not used to seeing cars parked at all within the street?
I've been there 20 years, and I can't remember. Further up on Damon, you'll see like a utility car or a yard service or something, but for some reason, that little one block stretch of Damon, if you put a vehicle on the street, it's tight.
But have you witnessed vehicles on the street often within the facility, within the?
Not in this one block area. It's rare to, the people that live in that one block area just park in their driveways.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the house itself, you said you witnessed it once last week, but it's not really, it hasn't been a problem, have it?
No, but then too, the daycare is not open. I mean, when did this, it's already a facility now, is that what you're saying? How many children?
6.
Huh?
6.
6.
Yes, sir.
I travel that Damon every day, and I didn't know if anybody was even living in that house.
Okay.
So I'm not seeing the activity of 6 in there now. I'm not sure how that is. And when was it started? When did that start, this 6?
I don't know, and I don't think she's doing a daycare. I think it's just more like an after school.
Yeah. So you have to be cautious. And once something is this approved, that opens the door for other things that come into our neighborhood. It's a residential area. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And it's just, I'm not against daycares by any means. My kids went to a daycare, but it was zoned for daycares. It was zoned commercial and not in a residential area. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard either for or against this application? Yes, sir. You can step back to the microphone. You've already been sworn in. I don't think you turned into a rascal in the 10 minutes you sat down, so we'll keep your testimony going.
Just to note, the cloisters itself, there's 298 homes
Yes, sir.
in the cloisters. So you can understand the 2 entrances that we have coming in from Damon and then going out on Chaucer into Third Loop. There's 298 homes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard either for or against the application? Yes, sir. You can step back up. And that was Mr. Perry. Is that right? I'm sorry?
Pena.
Pena. Okay.
Pena.
Yes, sir.
I didn't mention this, but we also have 2 children that ride their bicycles quite regularly. And my mother lives across the street. She walks on the street. My mother-in-law walks on the street. Our family lives there. We are in the area, so we don't really want any more traffic. The other thing is, I think there's some other residents that have said that they've been in the neighborhood for 20 years. Well, we've been there 15 years.
Yes, sir.
And I'm close to retirement. I don't want my property values to go down.
Right.
Because that's going to affect my net worth when I go to retire. And I'm sure there's other people who feel the same way. I would just like to keep the neighborhood as a residential area so that people can enjoy their homes and, not bother anybody else.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Pena.
I do
Oh,
have a
I'm sorry.
question.
Go ahead, Mr.
You
Pena.
mentioned about the home values. Would it make a difference if before you bought your house, if you know that they have a large daycare facility in that area, would it make your opinion differ?
It probably would have. I've been there over 15 years or so. But to my knowledge, there isn't any other facility like that in the neighborhood.
And the city indicated there wasn't.
There is? Okay.
No, the city indicated there's not.
Okay. There's a lot of people that have just recently purchased homes in the neighborhood, and if they would have known that this was going on, they probably would have purchased the properties there. And if it does open, it's going to affect future values, of properties and people wanting to buy in there. So it's going to affect everybody, and that's another big concern. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Pena. Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard either for or against this application? All right. Did you want to ask Ms. Perry a question?
Yeah, she wanted to come back up too.
Ms. Perry, did you want to come back up? Yeah. Ms. Singley had a question for you. If you don't mind stepping back up to the microphone. And as with everybody else, you've already been sworn in, so we're not going to do that again. Go ahead, Ms. Singley.
You go ahead and say what you want to say, then I'll ask you my question.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. I did want to address some of the concerns that the community have,
Sure.
regarding, safety and ratios and whatnot. As stated before, I have a degree and experience in early childhood education. One of the concerns that, was stated was, the ratio. I mean, that's a classification we use in early childhood, and according to the DSS rules and regulations, if you have 4 children and the majority of the children are 4 years old, you can have 17 children to one person. And and if the children are older and you have more, like a 5-year-old, you can have more children to one person. I do want to address that to let you know that if I was permitted to have up to 12 children within my home, then I would be permitted, even according to the Department of Social Service, to be able to have that. And so I do want to address that in reference to the safety concerns. I know one individual mentioned that they didn't even know I was there, because I pride myself on trying to be quiet, because I know it is a residential area, but I also do, as you can see, have children here. As I'm standing here, I have seen some of the individuals walk by my home daily. And I do want to address concerns that, like I said, I try my best to be quiet. I think I hear the dogs in the area more than I hear than anything. Than you probably even hear my children. And so, in reference to safety is my highest priority. The reason being is because that is something, according to the Department of Social Services, that is highly regulated. And because I do follow the laws according to the Department of Social Services in the job that I currently am in now, I do want to address those concerns when it comes down to the pool. And I know someone had mentioned in reference to the neighbor, that's a house that is abandoned. God rest his soul. Mr. Kent Lattimore has passed away last year. He did have a pool, so they addressed the concern. The pool is no longer there because he did, prior to him passing away, he did fill the pool in. So I did want to let you guys know that. I do have a pool at my home at the current proposed location. With that being said, of course, I have 3 daughters myself, and I do still have the hot tub on the back porch, which is in an enclosed space. I will make sure that the children are protected. So I did want to address those concerns. In reference to balls going into the streets, I believe that wisdom would be in order, and that's something that I would operate in. Operating in wisdom is not, letting children play randomly in the front yard without proper supervision. When I would allow the children to go out and play, if need be, then it would be in the backyard where they will be properly supervised. So I did want to address that concern. And in reference to the concerns regarding our driveway, some of you may have the same driveway. The length of the driveway may be similar to yours, but if you have not parked in our driveway, you may not be able to tell how many cars can or cannot fit. I don't want to discredit any one of you guys' concern regarding safety, regarding traffic. Yes, I do understand that. I don't know if you could tell by my accent, I'm not originally from here. So, of course, I may not carry the same sentiment and that you guys may feel regarding traffic, because to me, traffic is a little bit different compared to where I come from. But I do understand, because I, too, as you can see, have 3 little girls who have the same concern regarding traffic and the flow of different things. But with that being said, I make sure you guys have never seen my children be hit or anything of that sort or harmed in the community. And so I do want to just address those concerns and let you guys know I do hear you guys, but I also believe that that children are the future, and it's a beautiful thing to have children in the community because it can help strengthen and bring joy to the area.
Well, she answered my question.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Perry.
Thank you, guys.
I do have a question. First comment, your accent is quite acclimated for the area. You mentioned with DSS having the ratio 17 children to one person.
Correct.
And how does that change based upon the age of the child? You hinted on that, but I didn't catch you.
You saw how to change. Like if for example, if we have majority of, I may be misunderstanding the question. May you ask that again? I want to make sure I answer
Yes, ma'am.
accordingly.
You mentioned DSS. According to DSS, the ratio is 17 children to 1 adult. And
Yes,
then
sir.
you hinted on about the age group, and it might change based upon the age of the children.
Okay.
How the
I
how the
need-
child-teacher ratio is based on the classification of age range.
Yes, ma'am. And yes, sir. I definitely, and thank you for asking that question. If the children, like, for example, if we had 12 children, 2 was 4, and the others were 5 or 6, then if it's one teacher, then we would have more. But if we had a majority of 4-year-olds, then we can have up to 17 children when it comes. So that's, I wanted to, does that help clarify?
Yeah, up to 17 based upon that age. I got you.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. All right. The board has heard from everyone. The chair is now ready to entertain a motion. I'm sorry, what? What? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir. Thought we'd gotten everybody.
He's waiting on us.
Okay. Just state your name clearly into the microphone, please, sir.
My name is William Yonkin.
Mr. Yunkin, do
I
you
live
prom-
around the corner from this potential facility
Okay.
on Lancelot.
All right. You promise that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Affirmative.
Go ahead, sir.
All the concerns that we've heard from other neighbors referencing the traffic and blind spots, no sidewalks, all great concerns. Backing into Damon, bad idea. Anywhere on Damon, let alone there at the bottleneck that was mentioned by Julian. My next concern is it appropriate to ask the gallery, show of hands, for and against? Is that something you would do?
It's about asking us.
Can
for
I
show
ask
of
the
hands?
gallery right now?
Oh, ask them? Yes, sir.
Who's all here against? Raise a hand, please.
Okay.
And all for? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Yunkin. All right. Just to make sure, is there anybody else who wishes to be heard either for or against these application? All right. The chair will now entertain a motion to either approve or deny this request.
Mr.
As
Chair,
a reminder, yes, sir?
may I make a comment just to make sure we're on the same page as far as this being a special exception
Sure.
use permit?
Go right ahead.
And clarify with the city, this being a special exception, that finding the facts is not necessary, correct?
That's correct. It's a straight up or down vote.
Straight up and down vote. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No problem.
Blaine.
Yep. As Mr. Poston iterated, this is not findings of fact. This is simple, a motion to either approve or deny. The options are listed there. You can either recommend approval based on the information provided. You can either recommend approval with additional conditions that we as the board can set. We can defer. We can suggest other alternatives, or you can outright deny this request. Chair will now entertain a motion. All right, there being no motions being made, the chair will now make a motion that we deny the permitted special exception use approval for the specific request. Do we have a second?
You have a second.
Ms.
2 seconds. Ms. Moses, Ms. Moses, second.
Ms. Moses, make a second. All those in favor of denying this request, please signify by saying aye. 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 All opposed? One opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. This permitted special exception is denied. Ms. Perry, I applaud your passion, and I know the show of hands was a little rushed, but nobody in here is against your character or your desire to help kids. This is just the wrong place at the wrong time. My advice to you is take that passion, keep growing, and find a place somewhere besides Damon Drive to do this. I really do applaud what you're doing. I do. And Mr. Stroud, as a former teenage driver and participant of Florence's traffic police officers, I want to thank you for your service, sir. I think I helped pay for your retirement, to be honest with you. So, that concludes this portion of the hearing. We do have another hearing. Everybody here is welcome to stick around for the riveting part 2 of this evening's meeting, but if anybody wishes to leave, since there's a large crowd, I'm going to give you guys about 20 seconds to skedaddle. If you want to stay, please stay. Thank you all very much for availing yourselves of the city services. All right, next Next up on this evening's agenda is BZA hearing number 2025-13. Request for a variance for the minimum lot width requirement for new parcels. Location is 152 and 154 South Dargan Street. Tax map number 90169-01-020. Owner of record is Coffee Enterprises LLC. Applicant is J. Greg Hendrick, Feakley Law Firm. This is zoning district, Central Business District. The board will now hear from city staff.
All right, this is completely different from that last one. This is a single parcel that has two buildings upon it in downtown Florence on South Dargan Street, next to Chevis Street. And it is currently the location of, Zone Central Business District, is currently the location of Jack's Books and the Leaf Lounge. And the code requires in the Central Business District that when you're creating new lots, they need to have a minimum width of at least 25 feet. And that is for the creation of brand new lots. These are on a pre-existing parcel. And to subdivide this parcel the way that they would like to, and the purpose of subdividing it is to be able to convey each business, to sell each one separately. But the Jack's Books one is only about 13.5 feet wide, and the Leaf Lounge is only about 17 feet wide, a little under that. So obviously those don't meet the 25-foot minimum, but a lot of this width is not without precedence in the downtown area. There are others that are way under 25 feet as well. So the proposed subdivision line, as you can see, would go all the way down, and it's that yellow hatched line, would provide access to the driveway behind as well as to Dargan Street for both parcels. So here's a picture of the front of it. As you can see, they are very narrow storefronts, but they're also very distinct buildings. So again, it would not be without precedent in a downtown area such as this one. So the applicant desires to create a new lot of record to separate two existing commercial buildings that are currently on one parcel. The intent of the lot size minimum requirement for any zoning district is to ensure uniformity and the ability to construct development consistent with permitted uses. Granting the variance will result in creation of parcels smaller than the prescribed minimum lot, but will accommodate subdivision and future conveyance of these existing commercial buildings. And these were constructed prior to adoption of the zoning regulations that require the 25-foot lot widths. There are other examples of parcels with narrow lot widths. Most in the area meet the minimum lot, as the minimums in the UDO were probably established using those averages, but it is not uncommon for smaller ones to occur in downtown areas, both in Florence and other cities. So application of the lot width requirement to the request would result in the inability of the landowner to subdivide his parcel and prevent him from establishing a parcel for each building and enable him to sell them separately on their own parcels. And a variety of parcel sizes and buildings are characteristic of a central business district and historic districts. And that will permit the owner to subdivide it as he desires and convey the buildings separately. So that concludes staff's report.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for city staff from members of the board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go, Mr.
Lane, these two storefronts, you mentioned the totally separate names, so these are storefronts that are operating independently,
That's correct.
And you did mention that in this area, these particular parcels and common throughout the central business districts, they have been split in the past from larger parcels into individual parcels.
Yes.
And as far as granting this variance, would it affect any type of utilities, fire protection, or anything to do with
No,
public?
and the character of the neighborhood would not change in the least. You're just drawing a line on a map for an existing situation.
Basically like an imaginary line over, okay.
And that way, somebody separate can purchase the buildings.
And it will still uphold the intent of the ordinance as well as the central business district character
Yes,
and everything in line.
yes.
Do most of these parcels in the central district, business district, do they adhere to the 25 minimum,
I would say it's probably about 50%.
50%?
But most of these buildings that look like all one building are really separate buildings that have just been share a sidewall. And by comparison, townhouses only need a 16-foot wide parcel, and they are to be subdivisible.
And that's just for townhouses.
Correct. But it would not be without precedent to have a lot that small.
And that's 16-foot width?
Any other questions for city staff? Go ahead, Ms.
I have a question. I don't know if I should ask city staff or, these buildings, they're two separate businesses.
Yes.
If one were to be, could you sell one without the other? They're sharing a wall, but it's two separate businesses. You wouldn't be selling both. You could sell one business.
If they're on the same parcel as they are now, I'm not sure how that would work. That might be a question for the applicant.
The current parking in the front, public property.
Yeah,
but
parking,
as far as,
providing-
Does it matter which parking is which, or this is common use for?
It's common. In the central business district, you do not have to specify off-street parking.
Well, now, in the rear, where the complex is, they actually have designated parking for the buildings itself. Is that correct?
I don't even know.
Okay.
Like I said, in the CBD, you do not have to provide dedicated parking.
Okay, in the entire CBD, even
Yes,
though it's
sir.
indicated in the rear in the complex, they actually have for the health, for the Tim Norwood's building as well as the other buildings, there's indicating parking only for that. And
Oh, yes,
now that'd be ownership of theirs?
yes.
Okay.
And specifically for this variance, it's just basically you're dealing with the business in itself and it's in the entity and the parcel that the space is sitting on. Does that include with the space that runs outside for outside sitting?
It would just
All
be,
dedicated?
like it shows on the plat. It's a little easier to see this way. It would include the space, just like kind of a condominium or a townhouse. It would include the area immediately behind it.
The city, okay, yeah, that's the same, okay, all right. Oh, that would could, that don't have anything to do
Well,
with
the
this.
red is the existing,
Oh, okay,
yellow is proposed.
okay, I think I'm ready to move forward.
And Ms. Lane, would you agree that granting this variance simply recognizes the existing historic development pattern along South Dargan Street rather than creating any new nonconformities?
That's correct.
That's correct.
And I just have one more question. So the space area for 152, who's requesting this, for the line to be drawn?
The property owner
The property owner
for both. He
Both-
owns both buildings, and he would
both-
like to be
oh, okay,
able to
he-
sell one of
I
them.
got it now, okay. That's, I'm like, okay.
Thank you, Ms. Seeley. Any other questions for city staff? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The board will now hear from the applicant. Mr. Hendrick, you here? Please step up to the microphone and state your name clearly, sir.
Well, good evening, Mr. Chairman and
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen of the board. For those of you who,
Hold on one second. Let me swear you in. I'm sorry. Just state your name clearly into the microphone.
yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Patrick. I'm here appearing on behalf of Greg tonight. I'm his law partner.
Okay.
I'm also appearing on behalf of the property owner, Kafia Enterprises LLC.
Okay.
As has been requested, is a subdivision of the current lot.
1 second. What's your last name, sir? Patrick?
Ford.
Patrick Ford?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Ford, do you promise that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the gentleman standing next to you,
Is Dr. John Keith.
John Keith, all right?
Yes, Dr. John Keith. I'm the owner of Kofia Enterprises and the owner of the properties.
All right, Dr. Keith, do you promise that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right. Sorry, Mr. Ford. Go ahead, sir.
No problem. All right, so as the board well knows, this is an application for a variance for subdivision based on the current ordinance. We don't have a whole lot to add other than what the staff have already commented on. Just to, I think, briefly add to it, obviously, the subdivision here will promote marketability of the particular property. as was indicated, this is one parcel with two buildings that are being leased to two separate tenants. In this particular case, one of the tenants is wanting to contract to purchase it. And I think also the subdivision will promote owner-occupied property versus leasehold property.
Right.
As right now, one particular owner buys both, or buys the entire building as in its current state. Unless there's two businesses for that owner to run both, one space is going to be leased. So I think that is a benefit here. As stated, it's not unheard of in the city of Florence to have this, and it conforms to the existing construction of the building. My guess would be is at some point there was common ownership applied to combine maybe these two buildings together into one, and with the ordinance change, now we have to go back through to actually formally request to subdivide it.
Yes, sir.
In order to get a separate map number. Overall, I think for those of you who know Dr. Keith, he's been a pretty large proponent of downtown development over the years. He's certainly done a lot to better it. And I think the particular occupant in this case, which is the bookstore, Jack's Books, that's seeking to purchase it, has created a little bit of a staple downtown in the recent year. There's been a lot of good feedback, and I think certainly in terms of betterment for the community and the diversification of the businesses down there, this is definitely a step in the right direction. I don't think I have much more to add other than that. As I said, I think the staff comments have done that. To answer Ms. Moses' question, currently if it were to be sold, it would have to be sold as an entire tract or one lot. Without the subdivision, neither could be sold from a title standpoint. So that's why this would have to be subdivided for the individual building to be sold.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Are there any questions from members of the board for either Mr. Ford or Dr. Keith?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ford, why would the strict enforcement of this 25-foot, why would it affect the current, would it create, what hardship would it create by adhering to that 25-foot width itself?
Yeah, well, it would limit the marketability of both buildings by the owner. I mean, the owner would only be limited to selling that property to another owner who wants to own both sides, or both buildings, so to speak, which is just generally an investor if they don't have two businesses to operate. So overall benefit for the city would be promoting owner occupancy of the spaces. I think a lot of research out there shows that at least from my understanding, owner occupancy, people tend to take more pride with everything that own it. That's not the case in all business standpoints. Obviously, every business wants people to come there and patronize it, but I think that's also to the benefit of keeping these more diversified businesses downtown. If they can't buy the particular space they're in, they'll have to go find a different space, which would lead to vacancy, which would have to lead to more tenant and occupancy. And with the unique size of this building, it's difficult to find businesses that will run in and out of it as well. So buying it might be more of appealing for other business owners that want to operate.
As opposed to a leaseholder?
Yes, sir. Correct.
So basically, right here, y'all coming to ask us this because it's a prominent business that pretty much want to have ownership, and you trying to do this to allow them to have that.
Yes.
Pretty much, okay.
And there's a common wall you mentioned, and both of the buildings itself, they have their own individual addresses sharing a common wall.
Both buildings have separate utilities, separate entrances and exits, completely separate. Utilities, everything is already separate. Really, the only thing that's not separate is on the GIS maps or the planning maps. It's combined into one tax map number.
And that's the partial.
Yep, that's this current parcel. So
So
nothing
would
would
you-
affect those types of aspects. Each owner would have their own separate utilities and all of that.
As far as the infrastructure, utilities, and so on, the thing we're changing is the parcel number, adding the parcel. to the-
That's exactly right. We're just separating it to make two parcels instead of one.
So you did mention each unit will have its own utilities separate from the other one regardless.
Yep, it's already set up that
It's
way.
already set up that way. Thank you, Mr.
Yep.
Ford.
Thank you, Mr. Poston. Any other questions for Mr. Ford or Dr. Keith? All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
The chair does not see anybody here, but is there anybody who wishes to speak either for or against the variance request?
I have to ask the city, have anyone have anyone was opposed or against? Did y'all have your signs out?
No.
Mr. Chair, I would like to ask.
Go ahead, sir.
A question either for the city or the applicant. As far as, I just want to clarify a question regarding any potential legal, financial, or recording considerations that would affect the feasibility or carrying out of subdividing this property into separate lots, such as mortgages, liens, or any encumbrances.
I'm not aware of any.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. The chair will now entertain a motion to either approve or deny the variance request. Just as a reminder, this is unlike the previous hearing where this one does require the stating of findings of fact.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion in favor based upon the following findings of facts, that a variance from the terms of Unified Development Ordinance would not be contrary to the public interest where owing to a special condition, a literal enforcement of the provisions will in an individual case result in an unnecessary hardship. The request involves two existing historic commercial buildings that were constructed long before current lot width standards were adopted. These buildings are already in active use and contribute positively to the character of downtown. Number two, that the spirit of the Unified Development Ordinance will be observed, public safety and welfare secured, and substantial justice done. The variance request reflects the historic pattern of narrow pedestrian-oriented storefronts in the CBD. Granting the request does not change the built environment or public safety conditions, but simply allows the lot lines to match existing buildings. Number three, that there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. The two historic buildings were constructed on a parcel narrower than current standards and share a common wall, making the property uniquely different from typical CBD parcels created under modern regulations. Number four, that these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. These conditions do not generally apply to other properties as nearby parcels meet current WIP standards, while this property's narrow shared wall buildings reflect a unique historic configuration. Number five, that because of these conditions, the application of the Unified Development Ordinance to this particular property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property as follows. As the UDO literally would prohibit subdivision and unreasonably restrict the property by preventing each building from being conveyed separately despite their historic design as independent storefronts. And finally, number six, that the authorization of a variance would not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. This variance request will not harm adjacent property or the public good, as narrow parcels are common in the CBD and historic district, and the character of the area will be preserved. Granting the variance simply recognizes the established built environment, preserves the continuity of downtown's historic fabric, and supports reinvestment without creating adverse impacts.
Thank you, Mr. Poston. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Singley. All those in favor of of approving the variance request, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. The variance request is approved. Thank you, Mr. Ford. Thank you, Dr. Keith. There being no other items on this evening's agenda, are there any announcements from city staff?
Nope, that's it.
I would like to remind members of the board to go ahead and avail yourselves of Elaine's email, reminding all of us of our continuing education credits that need to be required annually. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you guys very much.